kind of every team will have mediocre games at one point, but if there's like no storyline behind it or there's nothing on the line, then that's when people will just get bored and leave.
Hey everyone, this is Darius from the Shotcaller, and I'm standing here with Odoamne from Splice, who just beat his former team H2K. How does it feel?
I mean, it's kind of an odd feeling because I mean, I kind of got over the fact that I'm not in H2K. When I was thinking of H2K, I was always like, oh, that's my team. And then I was like, oh, wait, never mind, that's not. So, I mean, it's a good feeling just because we didn't... I think we played a bit better than last week, and we kind of went away from that slow play style with tank stop and all that stuff. So it felt better playing against them today.
Yeah, I mean, you actually had some level of impact in comparison to previous weeks.
Yeah, with the tanks, I mean, you have impact in fights, but your laning phase is kind of irrelevant, and your map movements are kind of the only thing that you can do, and you don't really get action when you play tanks that much.
Which must be annoying for you because you've been known for being able to play some really interesting carry top laners at your time at H2K.
Yeah, I mean, tanks are okay, and I can play them well, and I think that's like one of the good things about me because I can play tanks pretty well. But in a meta like this, I feel like if you're kind of trying to play tanks, you're kind of signing a death sentence in a way, just because you're just so weak. Because the thing with tanks in the past, they used to beat carries in lane a lot, but right now you kind of lose to every single carry. So I would be stuck on, you know, weak picks that would just lose lane most of the time and then scale like pretty terribly. And pretty much the only thing I could do or impact would be just to hope that like the other side of the map is winning so I can win the game. Else I would be fairly useless.
Now, no more dog champions for you then, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see tomorrow, but today was like a good day to not play dog champions because the way the draft went.
Now let's talk a bit about how your transfer to Splice came to be, because for starters, it was a very interesting thing to happen in general, because Splice all of a sudden showed up with this EU super team, you know, including Xerxes and Kasing and Niski and you, of course. But there also were some rumors about you joining other teams that reportedly, as you've said in a video as well, that hurt your transfers or like your options apparently. What was it like to see these rumors emerge and visibly see that, okay, this might negatively affect me?
I mean, in a way, it's my fault as well because I didn't really think that people would actually believe them because they were just coming from this random guy. Might as well be this, you know, random Redditor that he just makes like a Reddit thread and then gets on front page, and I was like, oh my god, he's actually like saying the truth. But I don't know, like I just didn't believe that people would just believe like a random person that no one ever heard of. So I was like kind of trolling with it in a way because it was the thing with me moving to G2, and I was like tweeting at person. I was like, yeah, let's make it happen and all of this stuff because I don't know, it was just like funny in a way, but I didn't really realize that people actually believe the things that guy was saying because there's no, I mean, the only journalists that are actually credible in this, you know, like Jacob Wolf and maybe like some others, but that guy legit came out of the blue and he was like a no-name, and people actually believed it, and the teams didn't even like, you know, bother like talking to me because they thought it's like a done deal. So I guess it's a mistake on my part because I didn't really say that those rumors were just like false. So the way the off-season usually goes is like in the first couple of days, like 2, 3, 4 days, that's when all the big roster moves are being made. So I was just like sitting there thinking to myself, I guess these teams just want to like get coaches first and then kind of get the coaching infrastructure and then let the coaches decide on what players they would want to bring in and all of this stuff. And then at one point, a friend just told me, hey, people are actually believing those rumors and everyone's thinking you're signed, so that's why no one's talking to you. And I was like, okay, oh shit, I need to do something about it. So even Splice, even Splice thought that I wasn't, you know, even a free agent. They thought I was like already a done deal with someone, and they didn't even like pursue me at first, kind of like all the other teams. But as soon as I said that I'm still free, then they kind of showed interest along with some other teams from NA, but most of the NA teams as well just thought I was like a done deal, so they didn't even bother talking to me.
Really unfortunate situation, of course. It's very confusing to me, in all honesty, because coming from a football background, we hear rumors every day surrounding players, and especially team owners and managers just ignore them at the end of the day because they know, okay, they're everyone can call themselves a journalist at this point because that's the way the web works at this point. Yeah. So they don't really listen to it anymore. But seemingly in esports, that we haven't reached that kind of level yet, which is a bit concerning. So how did you actually get in contact with Splyce? And did they message you personally after the deal was done? Or did you go through an agent, for example? Because that's what quite a few players did as well.
I didn't really opt in for an agent this offseason just because I feel like the whole agency scene is kind of in a childish state or an infantile state where I feel like people are just asking for really, really big commissions, and all they do is just message people on Skype if they're interested in you, which it's kind of like you're asking someone for a cut of his total salary and stuff for the fact that he just messages someone on Skype, which kind of doesn't justify the costs. No. So I was like, I don't really need this. I'm just gonna reach out to teams myself, or just let teams reach out to me. I was kind of saying that I'm a free agent and all of this stuff. So yeah, I mean, as soon as I said that I'm a free agent, I just got an email from Splyce and other teams, and then I just kind of went from there, set up meetings with potential teams and all of this.
So why didn't you opt for the NA money?
I mean, in all honesty, the skill gap between NA and EU is not as big as it used to be, 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. So I would say that most of the people that had a chance to go to NA, they would have taken it just because the salary difference between NA and EU doesn't really justify at all saying no based on the skill difference, because the skill difference is so small, but the salary difference is so big. So it's not like you would go to NA and you kind of go into this retirement home where you just kind of your skill becomes to decay, starts to decay and all that. It's just mostly the deals kind of went through it. Every team had deadlines with other players and all of this stuff. And in NA, there's people really like Korean top laners because they've been there for a while, and if they just kind of have this boner for Koreans in a way. So that's kind of what happened. That's why some deals failed to go through. But Splyce's offer was actually very competitive. So I don't really regret, saying yes to it.
And right now you're doing reasonably well. You picked up a very impressive win against Misfits last week, even though it was in the last minutes of that game. And Hansama, unable to carry that on his back, I guess. What are your personal expectations for the Splyce squad? There was some debate whether you guys will make playoffs. Some people are really confident in you. Some of them aren't. Amazing is really confident in you.
I don't really want to set expectations because I feel like we're in kind of a fragile state where we need to get better, and we're kind of getting better week by week. So I don't really want to set this big goal of top 3 or winning the split or going to MSI or going to Worlds. I just want to kind of take it in small steps, but playoffs is definitely a goal, and I would be really, really disappointed if we don't make playoffs. But I'm just kind of taking it week by week because we have a lot of things that we need to fix. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot easier for us as a team to just focus on those things and kind of let the results come through than, putting this sort of pressure. Oh, we really need to take top 3. We really need to make MSI and all of this stuff. So we're just kind of taking it week by week.
Was that kind of pressure an issue with H2K?
I wouldn't really say so. I mean, it was a whole different approach because when we built all the HTK rosters except the first one, we we kind of had, elite players. We kind of had prestigious players, and all of us, wanted to win because the talent was there, and we were all really good players, and the coaching structure was really good. But we just I feel like we just started being bad on certain patches. We had our really good moments on some patches, but then the patches would change, and then we would start playing bad. And I feel like that's in a way an issue with the whole, split system for LCS. You could argue that the fact that you can adapt to patches and stuff should be a thing that rewards you. But if you, for example, look at Immortals when they went 17-1 and NA, and they were legit stomping people left and right in 20 minutes, and then they lost 3-0 because the patch was bad for them. That kind of just nullifies their whole 3-month achievement of just stomping everyone left and right. So that's kind of that's kind of odd in a way, because I feel like being good on a patch should be rewarded more than being good only on the playoffs patch in a way. And you could argue that you get good seeding and stuff, but if it would be split more with different patches and stuff would be better. And I feel like that was an issue in H2K. I feel like we didn't really choke. I mean, I feel like maybe we choked a bit, but we weren't really that bad. I feel like the lineup last year could have done more, but the lineup 2 years before with Forgiven and Vander, I think we did fairly well. We kind of failed our goal to win LCS with that roster because everyone wanted to win, but I feel like our run at Worlds kind of showed how good we can be on a patch that's really good for us.
Yeah. Would you personally prefer as it is in football, a very long season with no playoffs, essentially? No?
I mean, kind of yes and no. That's not really the system I would be looking forward to the most. It would be something, an open tournament system where they just, over 12 months you have, 20 tournaments, kind of like what CSGO has right now. Because this way you kind of have a lot of international events, like explosive games between teams. There's more rivalries to be formed, and the games matter a lot, because if you have these random tournaments, then kind of every game is just as important, compared to LCS. At one point you have, I'm not going to name from EU, but let's just name from NA. You kind of have, Golden Guardians versus whatever in the middle of the week. Then that's kind of the viewership will start going down because no one cares about that game, because everyone's going to watch, the first 3 weeks and just kind of figure out who's good, who's bad, what are the chances. And then, come week 5, week 6, people already know what to expect and stuff. And then everyone's just going to watch TSM versus Liquid and stuff like that, But if you have an open tournament system with a lot of international tournaments, then every game matters, so people will just watch a lot. Look at Counter-Strike. They had a major, 1 million viewers only on Twitch.
That's a new record for sure, yeah.
I mean, we have this viewership at Worlds, but what happens at Worlds is everyone just looks forward to Worlds because it's kind of the biggest international event where all the games matter and everything's on the line. And if you have just that, if you would just have that more often every year, then everyone would just watch League as well, because League is a really cool game. But the problem with these long seasons is just there's a lot of useless games, and everyone's just waiting for playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, on one hand, personally, I prefer watching 2 bottom tier teams battle it out, because it's just very entertaining to me. Do you remember?
It's a cool shit fest, but
do you remember? Okay, last year Spring Split, Origin versus Rockcat, best of 3.
No, but that was fun, but that hurt me so much because I remember sitting at home and I was from 50 minutes to 80 minutes, it was the same thing happening over and over, and I was I just want this to end. I didn't like it. I was miserable.
Dude, you were sitting at home. I had to sit in the audience, live watching. People were falling asleep on that thing, and I was just laughing my ass off because Quickshot and Deficio they were nah, after 50 minutes, fuck it, we're just gonna have Clown Fiesta, boys, let's go.
Yeah,
let's go.
There's always those games that are just become good or entertaining because of the level of gameplay, but not because of what's on the line and what's the story behind it. That's the issue, because if you use that argument, then every game could be just as entertaining if the teams play just as bad or really, really good,
Yeah.
But you will always have these mediocre games. Kind of every team will have mediocre games at one point, but if there's no storyline behind it or if there's nothing on the line, then that's when people will just get bored and leave.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a very hotly debated topic as well, and there are very different takes on it. Thorin, for example, argues for like a tournament system. Others argue, cut the spring split and just make one long season with, one playoffs at the end and then have Worlds. Some argue, we can't have so many tournaments with All-Stars as well because it's too much pressure on the players participating in all of them.
I mean, I don't see an issue with... I mean, people can just skip All-Stars. Like right now, people are already getting bored of All-Stars. Like the players, since the seasons are so long, you have no breaks. But imagine, for example, you have 20 tournaments a year, and say you have like in Counter-Strike, 4 or 5 majors. That's like the most important ones. If people are feeling burned out or they just don't want to participate in a tournament, there's no issue. There's a new tournament in 2 weeks that's just as important, so you can just skip them. Or if you're not in shape, you can just afford to not go. But the way it is in League right now, you just have 2 really long grinds. For example, if you go to MSI, the break between spring and summer is like a week and a half.
Yeah.
Or if you go to Worlds, when I went to Worlds, I got home in like November, and then January the split started already. You have like 1 month break, and imagine I would have went to All-Star, then you have like 2 weeks break. Like that's the thing. There's no downtime because they're trying to fit, international tournaments with All-Stars and all of this in like the free time. So I feel like that's the issue, because everyone's just getting... It's just essentially a really, really long, pointless grind. Because you grind 3 months, and then you lose a best of 5, and then you go home. You just grinded 3 months for no reason.
Yeah, and I personally, I can definitely relate, because I was, a big Immortals fan in their first split, and then I was watching every game, I was like, oh my god, playoffs, and then, shit.
Yeah.
That just
exactly. That's the biggest example. They were good on 5 patches and bad on 1.
Yeah,
and it all hinged on how good they were on that patch.
Yeah. I mean, I guess everyone has different takes. Make sure to comment what your personal take is, whether you agree with like a CSGO system, maybe you agree with like a Premier League / Bundesliga system, like I have it in football. That said, is there anything you would like to say to your Romanian fans? And like, because
Romanian fans?
Yeah, there are probably also some Romanian fans watching, because you and Zexi are playing on the same team.
Oh yeah,
maybe.
true.
And to the Splice fans, of course.
Should I do it in Romanian?
If you want to.
I'll do it in English first. Thank you guys for supporting us, even though we kind of sucked for 3 weeks, and I think we still kind of suck. Hopefully I'm not going to play Dog Champs anymore, so it's going to be fun. And for all the Romanian fans, mulțumesc mult pentru că ne sprijiniți pe mine și pe Serse și sper să vă facem pe toți mândri.
Did you just shit talk Zoxy? Or?
No.
Okay, that's not like that. Okay. This was Odoamne from Splice and Darius from the Shotcaller. Have a good day. See you then. Hey everyone, this is Darius from the Shotcaller, and I hope you just enjoyed that interview. This is a generic end card, so make sure to click here for another interview or here for a different interview. And if you want to check out more content, specifically from the NALCS, make sure to visit theshotcaller.net for more interviews and other esports content. Have a good day.